Loving Sai Ram, Brother Shri Kasi V. Sridharan. Welcome to the program Awake, Unite and Inspire. The Sri Satya Sai Global Council Trinidad and Tobago welcomes you to this series, Awake, Unite and Inspire, a program that was designed to awaken the inherent divinity in all of us. So we are very happy, humbled, and privileged to have you as our guest on this evening's program. So, Brother Kasi, can you share with us how did you first come into contact with our beloved Mother Sai?
Sairam, Brother Faiz, and my humble Sairam to everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, everybody who is listening to this program. First of all, my humble salutations to Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, who is the guide and basically the avatar who has put the light in our life. So I wanted to thank him for being here or placing me here. I'm truly humbled and honored by this meeting and with divine grace. So I'm in a position to continue to be Swami's devotee. And many times Swami said that unless I willed, you wouldn't be part of my organization. You wouldn't be part of my as a devotee. And I remember that quite well. Swami said, you have longed for many lives in order to become my devotee. That's what Swami always says. So it looks like that I'm so lucky to be one of them. So that's the way I would describe before I go into saying how I came into Swami's fold. From a very young age, I've been hearing about Swami quite a bit. When I was really a child, actually, I heard a very impactful story, I would call it as, from my great grandmother, who I used to go and visit. The temptation at that time is to go and get some palm sugar that she gives or distributes after the puja. So as a child, that was the motivation. And she asked me to sit in her lap and explain about the avatar at that time, just how amazing that would be for me to learn that at such an young age. She explained that her daughter, who is actually my grandmother's sister, had a very difficult situation in her life. 23-year-old son, after finishing his engineering, went to Tirupati to have darshan there. And then he drowned in the tank, Pushkarani there, and he passed away. After that, my grandmother's sister, who is actually my great grandmother's daughter, she lost her speech and she became little unable to communicate with anyone. And she was in a state of shock for almost 3 years. And she was, the mourning for her continued forever. And someone suggested to the family that she should be taken to Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba in Puttaparthi. They listened to it and they took her there. And Swami was very gracious to give her the interview and made her come and asked her, saying that in Tamil, she asked, what do you want? And then she was crying, tears were flowing from her eyes, and then she started speaking after 3 years, saying that I want to find why my son left and what happened to him. For which Swami said, look at my palm. And he showed how he drowned into Pushkarni in his palm for her. And then he said that he always aspired to be one with me. And this is how he wanted to leave this world. And he is with me for sure. And that brought a closure for her in her worries about what happened to her son. And then she decided to kind of continue the rest of the life, staying in Parthi for a long time. So that's the story I heard when I was a little child. Then after that, I started seeing a lot of miracles in different houses. I go to my uncle's house and I see the vibhuti materializing out of the pictures there. In some houses, the honey flowing, the amrit flowing from the photographs. So that has become a regular phenomenon for me to see it on a regular basis as I grew up. But at that time, I still was not completely involved or soaked in the love of Swami. Eventually, the marriage happened. I married my wife, Shobana, in 1983, only to know that both my parents in law are ardent devotees of Swami. And that is how I got introduced to the entire possible visits to Puttaparthi, and then everyday prayers of Swami, visits to Sundaram in Chennai. All of that became a routine for me. So I started hearing the bhajans of Swami sung so beautifully in Sundaram by the devotees. Many days I used to sit there and cry, saying that how beautifully these devotees are rendering their bhajans to Swami. And hopefully in the following life or something, I should get an opportunity to sing like that, because I wasn't a singer. So I used to think that way, made multiple visits to Parthi, and one of the opportunities was to just go there and stay for 10 days and provide services in Parthi. Those days we used to go and stay in the dormitory. We didn't have all of these facilities, so we will go and lie down, and then in the morning at 4 o'clock, there will be a guy who would come and keep hitting the stick on the ground, saying, "You came here to see Avatar. What are you doing here sleeping at this time? Wake up, go and have a shower, go and sit in the line for darshan." I still remember those voices running in my head all the time, and how they were motivating people to wake up and go and sit in darshan. Those days, the darshans are in plain open sand where everybody assembles, the women on one side, men on the other side. There was no cycle hall those days. And we used to go and sit down and look at that and have such a wonderful darshan. How Swami walks around the devotees and gives darshan, his smiling face, all of that created a profound impact in my mind. I started reading more and more of Swami's teaching, starting from that time onwards. Gathered so much. More I read about Swami's teachings, more I was soaked in love with Swami. And those things made a big impact in my life after I started learning all the teachings in Vagini, some of the Satya Sai speaks I happened to read. And slowly I began to understand how he's making an impact in my life. That's the way I came into Swami's fold.
Oh, very, very beautiful. Coming into Swami and the awareness, and then through your marriage. But brother, let's go back to the very first trip you made in Puttaparthi. If you can share with us what year was that, and then share the very first time you laid eyes on our beloved Mother Sai. What was that feeling and experience inside like?
Well, sure. I will be happy to do that. In 1984, if I remember correct, one of the devotees in Chennai, Sundaram, he bought a new vehicle, and he wanted to make the first ever trip to Parthi in that vehicle. And then he requested myself, my father-in-law, all of us to get in this vehicle and then go down to visit Parthi. And even that ride was a miracle for us, because the vehicle stopped 20 miles away from Parthi. And we thought that we have to either abandon the vehicle. It was in the night, and we were praying to Swami to help us out to reach Parthi. By way of miracle or whatever happened, the car started and we reached Parthi late in the night to have a wonderful darshan the next day morning. And it was such a beautiful experience. First time I looked at Swami and I felt extraordinary emotions tears were flowing out of my eyes. Looking at it from the distance when he started walking so slowly. It's like somebody gliding in front of your eyes. And it created such a powerful impact in my heart and the soul. And I felt instant love flowing from him. And at that moment, I know that I made a determination. I am going to be his devotee for the rest of my life. And I need that, what do you call that, blessings from this avatar. That is how I prayed to him, saying, please make me your humble servant for the rest of my life. That's how I felt connected with Swami, my first visit.
Thank you very, very much, Brother Kasi. That was very touching and inspiring. So, share with us. You've been to Puttaparthi in the early 80s. You've made so many trips to Prashanti Nilayam. And I'm sure you have had and continue to have so much wonderful experiences with Mother Sai. But can you pull out two of your most memorable experiences with Satya Sai Baba and share with us, please?
Sure, absolutely. We got married in 1983, and one of the prayers by visiting Prashanti Nilayam is to have a blessing of a child, which is very memorable. And I was praying in front of Swami, saying, we are married for 4 years now. We don't have children. So we are looking for your blessings in order to have a child in our family. And then that is the first ever time that Swami came so close to me, and I was able to take Pada Namaskar from him. And you won't believe that that blessing was remarkable for us. And then we had a child in 1988, right, year after that. And then we took him also as a child. It was like an infant in our hand. We took for a darshan to make sure that he has the sight on the Swami. So we took him there, and he was blessed as well by Swami by giving darshan on that particular day. It was remarkable and just amazing experience, saying how Swami, many times I think that I may have to probably give a letter, and sometimes I think I have to probably get an interview. Honestly, I never got an interview from Swami so far in my life, but I feel extremely connected to Swami through intensely thinking about him. When I get overwhelmed with Swami's thoughts, then he connects very well with me, as though that he is listening to all my thoughts. And we know that it's always, we all know very well, all the Swami's devotees have experienced this. When we are soaked in his love and intensely thinking about Swami, it feels like Swami's presence is right in front of you. I felt so many times, and it is very special. And I completely agree with why you asked that question. Because when you are sitting in Sai Kulwant Hall, when you are in front of Prashanti Nilayam, how you get connected to Swami, and how much love and it flows to you from Swami is just unbelievable. Those experiences are very unique and different for us. And those are personal experiences in terms of how I felt in the presence of Swami. And I'm going to also share two other experiences which I had after I came to US in 1995. I migrated to US in 1995, and after that I was thinking that I'm moving far away from Swami. How in the world that I'm going to be spending time? And every time when we go to India, we try to visit, something or the other was happening, so I was not able to go to Parthi. Then it created so much tension in my mind, and eventually, finally, that the ICT conference happened. That is called basically it's a Information and Communication Technology World Conference that Swami ordered to be conducted in Parthi. And I didn't know that, okay, this conference is happening, and what can I do to contribute to this conference? Then I was communicating with few, and this was well attended by all major IT people throughout the world. Some of the professors from Australia, some who are professors in University, Arizona State University, and all of them were attending that conference. And I'm a very small fry when compared to that, just playing a small role in an information technology company. That's my background. And how do I make a role to play? And then I get introduced to this professor in Australia by a friend of mine. Then he is asking me, saying that send me your bio and I would like to see your bio. And then I send the bio. Within 2 days, I get a letter from him saying, I would like you to present a paper on this subject. Would you be able to present this? I cried immediately because this is level of love that Swami showered on me when I was aspiring for something. That's what I feel very connected to Swami, because we think of something and Swami blesses you with that. And that happened, and then immediately I decided to go for this conference. The reason why I'm so focused on this conference is I was always feeling that going to Prashanthi Nilayam is like going back home. That's how I feel. Swami is mother side. So when you go to Prashanthi Nilayam, it is like going to your mother. That's how I always feel. This unique experience is very different. The reason for that is Swami has given direction to all his students and everybody in the Prashanthi Nilayam that you have to consider everybody who is participating in this conference as my guest. When I heard this term first time, I was feeling the pain in my heart. Why Swami is considering us as a guest? We are his children. That's how I felt. Then when I experienced it, we landed in Parthi, we landed in Bangalore, and then immediately we drove down to Parthi. And then when we went there, the level of attention the students were paying in registering us. And then the next day morning, as soon as when we go for darshan, the vehicles were stopping in front of us because they gave a special badge for us to wear because we are attending the ICT conference. And we were asked to get in a vehicle, even if you have to go like 100 feet away to the ashram. Then we were asked, saying that please get in this vehicle, sir. You are our guest. And we were soaked in love of Swami. That's the first time I've experienced how you need to treat your guests. Swami is teaching that to us. That's how I felt. It's not that we were treated like a king, but he was telling us how we need to treat our guests. That is the lesson we learned. And he organized and he converted the entire North Indian canteen into a facility where all these conference people will eat. So he has instructed them that there has to be 4 sweets served every day as long as this conference is happening. So everybody has to be served with 4 different sweets. That's the sweetness of Mother Sai. And he was given, and then every day, morning and evening, he was giving darshan for us. We were asked to sit in a specific place. He will come and interact with few devotees who are in the ICT conference, attending the conference. Very, very good experience. Good darshans throughout this period. And then eventually, we on the day we were leaving, Swami said that I will come for a session in the conference. So we were all extremely pleased. We got the darshan, and then Swami is going to come to our conference. What more we can ask? And the conference ended, and Swami didn't show up. Swami always says, expect my uncertainty. And we were all in tears, even though that we are supposed to learn the lessons out of whatever he told us. Then all of a sudden, a vehicle shows up. That's Swami's vehicle, personal vehicle, filled with the various service projects Swami has done, beautiful pictures in it. And each one of us were given that booklet to be carried back home. That's one of the best gifts I have ever received in my life from Swami, and I still have it. And we were all given with Om Shri Sai Ram written in very nice cloth made out of in the orange robe. So many different things that Swami has sent it to us for attending that conference. That's one experience. The second experience I hope I'm not taking too much time. The second experience is 2007 Region 3 visit to Parthi. That time, about 300 of us visited and stayed in Parthi for 12 days. Every day we did some service projects. Every day we practiced medley bhajans that we were supposed to deliver to Swami or render to Swami at the end of the session. We were not even sure whether Swami will give us an opportunity to perform in his presence because we have to expect everything. Right? So then every day, some of the devotees were interacting with him. We never knew which particular time he will grant us the opportunity to sing together as devotees from Sai Region 3. Then finally, and even the zone chair was part of that session. So I'm happy to mention to you that he was part of this group. He spoke so beautifully welcoming Swami to US. The Swami started laughing in the middle of the session because he was saying, Swami, we would like to have you in the United States and cannot happen without your grace. So he was asking like that, and Swami started laughing, and he was talking and addressing Swami that way. And then eventually he gave the opportunity for us to sing together. So many devotees, women and men. And after we finished singing, the most important part is he was giving some signs and other things to the students, and they were all rushing back and forth, and we don't know what was going on. We were all sitting for 10-15 minutes. All of a sudden, some bundles of things were coming from inside Prashanti Nilayam. Every devotee who came on the women's side were all given with a sari, and everybody on the men's side were given white cloth for making a pant and a shirt. I can't forget that instance of how I was preserving that. I came back to Chennai and stayed in front of the tailor so that he will stitch in front of my eyes. That was that much care I paid and attention I paid. I still have it with me. It's a safari cloth that he has given to us. I stitched it very carefully and made sure that cloth doesn't go from my hands out. So I still have it. Those two experiences are remarkable experiences for me that Swami has showered so much of love on all of us. Sai
Oh, Brother Kasi, that was absolutely beautiful, inspiring, and really touching. And I could feel the joy, the happiness, the gratitude in your heart as you relive these wonderful experiences with our beloved Mother Sai. Thank you so much for sharing. So, what does Sai Baba mean to you today?
Ram, I couldn't thank you enough for asking this question because he's our guru, and he is God incarnated who came in order to bless all of us. And I'm ever grateful to him to think in that direction, saying that even to get an opportunity to live or have a life during his avatar is such a remarkable experience. And I don't know how to express that gratitude to Swami to even get an opportunity to be born during his avatar, apart from having opportunity to visit Prashanti Nilayam and be part of his organization. He always says that you cannot be part of my organization unless I willed you to be part of this organization. And so I enjoy more thinking from that angle, saying that he is training us constantly. That's how I feel. Every time when you are a devotee and when you think of Swami and wake up thinking about Swami, go to bed thinking about Swami, he become a trainer for you. He trains your mind constantly. And I can quote many, and probably I will quote one of them. What Swami expects of us. This is my favorite quote that I use all the time, and that was one of the things which powerfully created an impact in me. In order not to miss any of this, I'm going to read it out of this. God is the indweller of all beings The entire universe is permeated by God. We must realize that we are born to experience our innate divinity and not merely enjoy worldly pleasures. We have to take the path of spirituality to experience our innate divinity. If we lack in spiritual outlook, we do not deserve to be called a human being. In fact, it amounts to betrayal of God. God does not expect you to worship Him. He expects you to lead an ideal and purposeful life. This is on November 23rd, 2005. Swami gave this discourse on his birthday on 2005. 80th birthday, I think, if I recall correct. So this created such an impact in my life. Many times I think that I know Swami loves me, and I know that I have enormous amount of love for Swami. But I ask a question to myself: how do I deserve the Swami is going to love me no matter what? But how do I feel deserve of Swami's love? What can I do? And this quote really helped me to understand. All I need to do is to learn his teaching and put them into practice. That is where we can really become deserving to have the love of the avatar. So that's how I learned, saying that much, his words means everything to us, and he is the one who knows exactly what is right living for us. He has given so much of his, and he repeated all of that over the entire lifetime to make our life better. He worked relentlessly to make our life better every single day by giving discourses like this. The best gratitude we can show to him is by taking some leaves out of it and put them into practice in our life. Then we would have definitely we would deserve his love. That's how I felt about that. And about the faith in the avatar. That's the next part. So sometimes when you are facing troubles and tribulations in your life, all of a sudden your faith gets shaken up. And Swami gave another quote for that, which I'm going to read as well. Cultivate nearness with me in the heart, and it will be rewarded. He's saying that you need to be closely connected with me in your heart. Then you too will acquire a fraction of the supreme love. This is a great chance. Be confident that you will be liberated. Know that you are saved. Many hesitate to believe that things will improve, that life will be happy for all and full of joy, and that the golden age will recur. Let me assure you that this embodiment of righteousness, this divine body, has not come in vain. It will succeed in averting the crisis that has come upon humanity. This is what Swami's words, and I'm just giving. And I will give one more quote why I feel that avatar life is important to me, and there is something called, Swami used a word. This is a very unique experience of me reading this. Swami talking about winnowing test is one of the quotes that Swami has given. As part of the 60th birthday celebration, I am prescribing a test that you are to accept. When you undergo it and emerge victorious, you can be pronounced as real humans. The farmer plows the field and sows the seed and watches the crop grow until the grain is harvested. That's how I feel that Swami is kind of doing all of that exercise with us. The next process is winnowing. He's preparing us for something. The light chaff is then carried away by the wind, and the hard grain stays. I shall start winnowing from now, and the test will remove the chaff. He's basically saying all of the things that you have, undesirable things you have, I know how to remove them. Pay attention when I give you the trouble or tribulation. That's the greatest lesson I have learned. Every time I read all of these discourses Swami has given, we take a big leaf out of that. he made me everything in life, and he helped me build love for the humanity. He he helped me build everything in my life, and it is his grace without which I will not be what I am today. Saira.
Thank you, Brother Cass. Yeah, I love those quotations. So full of spiritual content, guidance, and his love for humanity. And as you so rightly said, all that we need to awaken that divinity within ourselves, this avatar has come and presented it to us on a platter, himself being the perfect exemplar of those five cardinal fundamental human values. So thank you so much for sharing those powerful reminders of why he has come. And also I love the part of the winnowing through the tests that he will levy towards us. So, brother, knowing Swami for so many years, coming into contact with him, reading and studying his teachings, how has practicing and continuing to practice his teachings impacted and transformed your life?
Yeah, that is something that really made a big difference in my life, because of the simple reason that I was very deep in the corporate world when I was really getting to know all the Swami's teaching. I can't explain in words how much it helped me in my personal life. Simultaneously, I was participating in Swami's organization as well. So that taught me exactly, because many times I used to wonder, I don't deserve to be in any position in Swami's organization. I've not reached that level. But always I remember that it is not entitlement. Swami is blessing you to play a role, and we have to take that role when Swami blesses you with that role. That is always my feeling, saying that we have to perform whatever little role he gives to you. You could be a watchman for something, you could be something else. You don't have to have the positions, or you should not aspire for position. That's something that Swami taught very well by shaping ourselves in the organization that we serve, his organization. So many times it really helped building that the character when we experience many things. uh, a lot of things I learned are very simple teachings that Swami gave me, gave all of us actually. Before you speak, is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Will it hurt anyone? Will it improve on my silence? That's a great lesson, because when you work in the corporate world, you tend to talk a lot. You're competing with your colleagues to prove your worth. And many times it's better to just listen. Swami taught an important lesson, that the practicing silence and listening very carefully, everything, that really builds you, not only your character, it builds a better life for you. And also the other thing, like start the day with the love, spend the day with love, fill the day with love, end the day with love. That is the way to God. And when you are experiencing corporate world where it's not easy for you to navigate through that, especially I served a public company in the US, and that was really difficult for me for day-to-day spending there in terms of, and the teachings like help ever, hurt never, love all, serve all, and watch your words, actions, thoughts, character, and heart. So when you recheck on all of that, many times your behavior and attitude and everything changes. Your When you think of Swami's teaching every day, when you start to work every day, when you are serving Swami's organization, we have to remember that. And I know Swami said that and this is a quote that I'm again giving, that Swami differentiated between what is education and educare. And this really created a powerful impact in me. So there is no point in our saying that we are educated well, we have the experience. The real experience comes only from how we are improving ourselves. And that is the most important point. Swami says, education, mind shaped by external forces. This is Swami's words, not mine. Educare, mind shaped by the divine source from within. In the case of education, action is influenced and determined solely by the external world. If educare is the foundation, the internal force generated by Satya, Dharma, and Prema alone determines the actions performed in the external world. So these are great lessons we can put into practice, whether it is your professional work or personal experience or Swami's organization. All of this can be put into practice on a regular basis. And I've experienced that myself. Swami has given me real life experiences. These are all not, I'm just quoting, but I have actually experienced some of them, which I will also share. Education, survival philosophy, destroy opposition, beat the competition, etc. Educare, divine philosophy, love all, serve all. Finally, education is for the head and educare is for the heart. And I will give you a quote, a simple experience of serving in the Swami's organization and how the two examples of how Swami made a big difference in life and how Swami consistently makes us learn lessons, and by putting into practice the lessons he is teaching is important. First of all, I never remember that I was mentioning to you earlier that I was aspiring, looking at the bhajans that are performed in Sundaram, how well it is sung, how Swami gracefully blesses all these children. Hopefully in the next life, I will probably sing bhajans because I'm not a great singer. Until the age of 48, I never sang a single bhajan. One of the devotees in our center was casually asking my wife, saying that your husband doesn't sing bhajans? And then my wife said, no, he's not a singer. He doesn't know how to sing. This is a casual conversation that is happening in the center, outside the center. And then this particular devotee walks up to me and said, I don't know what you would do, but I want you to sing a bhajan, to offer a bhajan to Swami next Sunday. So it's basically given like 6 working days for me to be prepared to render my first ever bhajan to Swami. I practiced and practiced like 2 bhajans myself. And then next Sunday, I sang a bhajan in front of Swami. And then after that, I never looked back. And for the last 19 years, I'm singing bhajans in the presence of Swami. And only Swami knows how I'm rendering the bhajan. So I'm going to leave that aspect of that to Swami. The second major experience is now that the ego works in your mind, right? So now that I have become a singer, so I want to render bhajans on all auspicious day. That determination comes to your mind from ego, not from anything else. It's not the interest to render bhajans, but I want to be singing a bhajan on Guru Purnima day, on Swami's birthday, and every auspicious day, we want to render a bhajan to Swami. And Swami taught me a very, very important lesson in our center, right in the center. I was serving as the president of the center at that time. So Guru Purnima day came and the bhajans were organized. People were singing the bhajans. And the next thing I know is that we moved over to Arati. I did not sing a bhajan on that day. I came back home crying, literally crying. My wife asked me, saying that, I've never seen you so emotional. What happened? I didn't say a word to her, and I just cried. And I stayed in that condition, mental state all night. Next day morning, I wake up, still having the same frame of mind. My wife asked, you have to open up, without which, if you have a problem, you have to go and tell Swami, you know that. Then I went and prayed to Swami that I think what I aspired for is incorrect. And I prayed to Swami saying, what I aspired for is incorrect. Otherwise, you wouldn't teach me this lesson. I prayed to Swami like that. And then I opened up with my wife and told, this is why I was so upset. And she replied back, and I think I know that Swami, you are Swami's child. So Swami always treats all of us as a child. But what you did here is childish. That's what my wife told me. Then, like evening around 4 o'clock, I get a call from the very same devotee who asked me to render the first bhajan to Swami, saying that we are planning to do the removal of Nirmalyam because they do decoration to Swami the previous day before auspicious days. Next day, she said, we are going to remove all of the flowers. And I would like you to come and sing bhajans to Swami. And you won't believe I cried more. When I got that invitation, I cried more. I went there and sang bhajans, and the very same bhajan I wanted to sing on Guru Purnima day is what this devotee asked me to sing the next day. Swami taught me a very important lesson that day, saying, you sing bhajans for me, not for the audience. Because he made me sing only in his presence, and nobody was there in the center. So that kind of lesson Swami gives all the time, crushing your ego. And if we don't learn that out of it, what else I think we can learn? That's why I think the lessons are coming on a daily basis, teaching these important lessons. Swami does that all the time. It's up to us to pick up those lessons and learn out of it. Saira.
Oh, very, very beautiful. And what a powerful lesson for all of us that you sing for Swami and nobody else. And that lesson was conveyed very powerfully to you. And it reminds me so much of what a devotee once said. He said, Swami hooks you, and then he begins to cook you, and then he begins to barbecue you. So that cooking part where he crushes the ego and he sends us through these trials and tribulations where he said, I bake you and twist you like the rough stone that is wanting to become the diamond has to go through. So much of smelting, pounding, twisting, hammering, to become that beautiful jewel of a devotee. So similarly, we have to go through that with the ego until we can become like that shining jewel. So, brother, thank you very much for that powerful, powerful lesson. And each one of us, we have all got to go through that because we are works in progress, leading to the awakening of the divinity within. So, brother, you have been in the corporate world. You are a chartered accountant. And to reflect and to ask another question, I just want to share this particular quotation of Swami. Politics without principles, education without character, science without humanity, business without morality is not only useless but positively dangerous. So, against the background of the corporate world, which you have just highlighted, where there is a desire only for profiteering and making money, greed for more and more, fame, popularity, unethical behavior becomes very prevalent in order to reach the top. How have you navigated this corporate world against a background like that and continued to practice Swami's teachings? How has that been for you over the years? Was it challenging, and how were you able to navigate those challenges?
Yeah, I think we have to take it very seriously. It's like what I mentioned earlier. The Swami's teaching, the practicing Swami's teaching is what we become deserving of Swami's love. That changed or transformed me to think in that direction, as opposed to saying that, will I be able to exist? Will I be able to survive in this condition if I don't agree to devious means? All of that becomes uh, not required from my end, because I'm always thinking my goal is to be deserving of Swami's love and grace. That changes the entire attitude. Many times, for example, Swami has given the 9-point code of conduct. Swami has given the tenfold path to divinity. So he's clearly saying that many times we come very close to violating the laws of the land. Swami says that when you are living in a country, you have to comply with the laws of the land. He's saying all that. In real life, how to practice it, we have to put it into. Because when you are in a corporate world, there are many very thin lines. There is a thin line between what is gray and what is black and white. So we have to be very carefully walking through that path. Many times we have to stand up for the righteousness. Challenges like that will happen on a day-to-day basis. It can happen at a very low level. It can happen at a board level. And still you have to be very cautious about, and Swami also says that when you have differences, you have to express it. That's where the Swami is saying, you cannot always oblige, but you can say things obligingly. So many times we have to be careful about how to phrase a sentence that makes the difference. And luckily, I was able to navigate all of that through that without much of trouble, because every situation, like it could be because a company is NASDAQ listed, then you have to be extra careful about complying with the laws. How do we do that? What do you do with stock options that are given to us? And I was simply complying with the law on every aspect of it, whether it is personal or professional. And what I can do and what information I have, if I had information that are not publicly known, I will not do any transaction trading, whatever is necessary. I was complying that carefully the laws of the land, and I was making sure in decision-making process also think about this rather than rushing the decisions. When you are informing the people or communicating with people, just tell what is right as opposed to what is popular. Many times you have to say things which are not necessarily very popular amongst people, but still need to communicate that in a very diplomatic and a very nice way. I still remember the day I left the corporate world, and the day I had an opportunity to speak to my colleagues. At that time said, I am not walking out of this place a very rich man, but I'm walking out of this place with the richness of morality and what I have practiced here. That is going to take me, and my experience that I gained out of it will take me for a long time. And so happened that Swami's grace, I'm continuing to do a lot of different things even after I came out of the corporate world by the grace of Swami. Sairam.
Oh, very, very nice. I love the way you dealt and navigated without compromising your principles and your practicing of human values in our society, which is so direly needed. And as Baba says, the education without character is not only useless but positively dangerous. So, brother, again, being or living or spending a lot of your years in the corporate world, how does one balance ambition, which is a desire to better yourself in all categories, be it education, business, money? How does one balance ambition with ceiling on desires? Where do you draw the line? How is the balance acquired in your case?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. Really, I kind of navigated the whole system by just surrendering completely to Swami, because many times we need the power of the divine grace. Sometimes we need to use our effort in terms of navigating through the system. Many times I've experienced difficulties that would either come to a conclusion that we can't go any further or make any progress on this. When it comes to that stage, I completely surrender to Swami and tell Swami that what is right for me, you have to guide me. And it so happened that things have disappeared. The problems disappeared without even in ways and means that I would have never anticipated in my life. Things have disappeared right in front of my eyes. Many times challenging assignments were given to me that I have to finish within 1 week. And without that, we can't go for the next major presentation to the Wall Street. That kind of challenges have been thrown to me. But luckily, every time I'm thrown with such challenges, I just surrender to Swami, and Swami guides me through this process and makes me make the right choices and right decisions most of the time. I think the experience of, particularly when you think that Swami is always with you, that gives you the confidence to navigate through them. Even if you have to go overseas to buy a company, I've done that. Like, I've done so many acquisitions in my career, traveling internationally. When I do all of that, I'm not praying for my own well-being or I need to get benefits out of it. I just say, do the right thing. Do the right thing. What is right here? Let's do it. If you have to walk away from the deal, let's walk away from the deal. If you have to do this deal, it is in the best interest for everybody, then let's do it. And many times, there is one thing that Swami did which I can't forget in my professional career. He gave one title for me in this company that I've served for 9 years in the corporate world. All the 9 years, I was just a vice president. But every year I had different role for each year. So he gave me enormous amount of experience to gain from the corporate world. That cannot happen without the grace of the Lord. Because every year I was doing different activity, different job, even though I was on the same title. So I felt, the way I felt about it is Swami has made checks and balances. He fixed my ego so that I'm not looking for promotion. Stay in the same title, but experience all of that, which is what is more valuable for you. Go and learn each job so that when you come out of it and when you are on your own, then you know everything, how to do it. That is more valuable to you. How much he takes care of the devotees, that his devotees, is just cannot be explained in words. Sairam.
Very, very beautiful. And brother, it so sends or conveys a very powerful lesson to all of us. That once you walk the dharmic path, once you do what is pleasing to him, that very dharma will protect you. And as Baba says, if you do my work, I will do your work. So once you practice his teachings and be a good example, when one door closes, many, many doors will open through his grace, his divine guidance, and his will. So thank you very much for sharing, because I know in the corporate world how difficult it is sometimes to practice the human values amidst so much of adharmic behavior, unrighteous behavior, confronting and bombarding you. But as you said, if you remain steadfast in your belief and in the practicing of your principles, you can become an agent of change and transformation for others. So, brother, this $1,000,000 question that I asked every guest is connected to what we've just discussed. So much of unethical behavior prevalent in the world, so much of violence, challenges at the individual level, the family level, children disrespecting parents, poverty to the highest degree. Now we've had the the wars in the countries going on. We have pandemics with so much of dying and economic depression. Based on your practicing of Swami's human values, what advice, what recommendation, what guidelines, what would you share with someone who comes to you and say, Brother Kasi, I want to make the world a better place. What can I do? What can you share with someone who asks that question?
Thank you for asking that question. So really, I feel that that Swami has given a wonderful quote about saying that when there is order in the home, there is order in the society, and when there is order in the society, there is order in the country. When there is order in the country, there is a better world that we create. So looking at it from that teaching, that I feel that Swami is telling that everything starts from transforming ourselves. The world appears to be chaotic to us, and there is a good place to start is where we can start at our end first. So we can kind of make little difference in the society. And Swami has given so many directions, and there is nobody who has done so much of activity in such a short period of time as Swami has done. He has demonstrated by living a life, and that's why he says, "My life is your message." And certainly there is so much to learn from his actions. And all we need to do is first build our own character, transform ourselves to become completely looking at what the society needs, to start making little contribution. You cannot change the world overnight, but the contribution that you make, how you make, should make a difference in someone's life. That is the attitude we should have. We should try and do and make a difference in somebody's life, even if someone who is suffering and is not able to even smile, bringing a smile in his face is a big service. That's what Swami is saying. And Swami says many times that the hands that helps is holier than the lips that praise. And there is a reason why Swami is saying that. You got to constantly focus on providing that kind of service that is completely selfless in terms of what we can do, because it not only transforms ourselves, but it contributes to the society. And we can always look at it from the point of view that it is transforming me. That way, when you are providing service, that ego doesn't come and sit. I remember one of the devotee who I interacted on a service activity mentioning, and we were trying to shut down one of the largest service project we were carrying out. And this physician who is primarily responsible for running all these medical services, she was seeing enormous amount of rain everywhere. And she quoted that to me, actually. That's why I know that. And she was the one who knows this best. And there is this is a camp that was conducted for people who are homeless. And it was raining, pouring heavily outside. So we all made a decision that we can start dismantling everything. We can shut down. And then Swami says that always look for my uncertainties. So all of a sudden there is a homeless person shows up completely drenched in rain and said, is the medical camp still open? We were shutting down because it's raining. We thought no one is going to come. We were all telling her. And then she replies back in a fashion that we will never forget that answer in our life. She said that, do you know what it takes to be a homeless person? Rain or shine makes no difference in our life. The whole medical camp, the service we did, all of that is behind us. But the important lesson that Swami taught out of that one single sentence, and we felt that that is Swami coming in that form and giving us a very important lesson in our life. So there is so much lesson to learn in life, and we have to learn out of it and keep serving whatever little way we can contribute to the society. and don't expect anything in return for that. Provide the service in a very selfless way and then keep transforming and learning out of it is the best way we can contribute to the society. Sairam.
Brother, absolutely inspiring. And what a powerful, powerful lesson Swami has taught us all through that experience you had with the homeless person. Wow, very, very powerful lesson. And I always remember too when he talked about teaching SSC children, Bal Vikas, he said if you have one child, you teach the child. So it's not so much quantity that matters to him, but quality. Powerful message to each and every one of us. So, brother, the Sri Satya Sai Global Council of Trinidad and Tobago wishes to express gratitude and appreciation to you for taking the time so beautifully, so inspiringly, so sincerely of sharing your personal journey and transformation at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai. May Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba continue to bless and guide you and your family, and may you continue to be a loving instrument in his divine mission. Jai Sai Ram.
Sairam, brother, thank you so much. I appreciate this, and I also send my humble Sairam to all the devotees in Trinidad and Tobago. And I really appreciate such a great honor and privilege to be part of this program. Sairam.